Hey Internet, this is Nate. You're watching I Roll Ones. Today I'm not really be working on anything in particular D&D. I'm not going to be doing anything that's actually like tabletop stuff. Like, it's not tabletop. It is, however, tabletop related. And what I mean is I know that a lot of you out there that are D&D guys, that are Pathfinder guys, that do this stuff, are very interested in doing your own DIY stuff. We're builders. We like to build worlds. We like to build other things. I'm sure there are a lot of you. We do crafts. We do miniature painting. We do a lot of stuff. So I subscribe and watch a channel called I Like to Make Stuff. And a few weeks ago I saw an old video that he had doing a LED sign. Now the problem with his is that he uses a CNC machine. I don't have one. Pretty sure most of you guys don't have one. While his CNC machine is fairly inexpensive as far as CNC machines go, it's like $600, $700. I don't have $600 that I can just get to make this sign, but I want to make a sign. So my idea is to show you guys how to do it without that expensive equipment. Now I am going to use some equipment. I'm going to use a scroll saw. You guys might not have a scroll saw, which if you don't have a scroll saw, you can use a coping saw. So I'll show you basically the tools that I'm going to use to make this sign. So here is my scroll saw, and you can see all this stuff over here. It's the stuff that I'm going to use. Here we have LED light clips. It's the female end. I'm going to give links in the description below where you can get these. I got these on Amazon myself, and they were fairly inexpensive. You will spend a little bit, but I might end up making more of these signs for other people, so it'll be okay. LED lights. They're going to come in a little package. They have stripped cords on the back of them, or not stripped cords. They have wires on the back of them that you can solder or tape to the leads that hook up to your plug. I'm going to just use a regular 12-volt DC converter, and I'll show you that when I get to it. But you'll need these. I'll link these below. I got these off of Amazon as well. Clear double-sided tape. It's a sheet size for a 8.5 by 11, and I'm using this because he uses a CNC machine, and when I'm going to use I like to make stuff uses a CNC machine. I'm going to use the scroll saw, so I need a way to adhere my stencil, my picture. I'm going to do a D&D 5e logo, and I'm going to need a way to adhere that to my acrylic. Now this is a red acrylic sheet. I got a 1/4 inch thick. It's way too thick. You don't need to have it that thick, but I got it that thick anyway. I bought mine off of eBay. You can get an 1/8 inch thick, which is perfectly acceptable, off of Amazon, and I'll link you to that as well. But I need a way to adhere this to the acrylic all the way across the back, so when I cut, it's not going to like come off. So I'm going to use those sheets and adhere that to it. Clamps. I got these clamps from Harbor Freight, fairly cheap, like $9 a piece. Always going to use clamps if you're doing woodworking stuff, so worth the investment, worth anything. You need to have them. You should have them if you do any woodworking stuff. You should have some clamps. You're also going to need pallets. I'm going to use pallet wood, and I've already taken and put this pallet wood together. I took the pallet apart, and then got the edges true and straight, and put some wood glue, clamped them together. This is the junk end, or the back end, and you're not going to see it. It's not going to matter. This is the inside. I did sand it a little bit. I was going to initially whitewash this, do like us miniature painters, we know, you can take some water, and I don't know exactly how whitewashing works, like real whitewashing, but I was just going to take some white acrylic paint and thin it out really, really well, and then just add it to this to make this pop a little bit more. I've decided not to do that, so we'll see. I also probably will need some acrylic, or not acrylic, some CA glue, some super glue. So when we get to that, I will have to go get some because I forgot that in the house. Anyway, okay. So So the first thing I did, of course, was decide on the size that I wanted of template. So I printed this off, found it online. I was running out of ink, so it kind of got bad, so I had to sign around it. Got some new ink, printed off a second one. This is going to be kept like this so I can find the center of it and everything, and basically that'll find me the spot on this board where to put it. So measured out the size that I wanted on these boards, cut them down to shape, glued them together, stuck them together with the clamps. That'll be in I Like to Make Stuff's video, which I will also link below. Took my acrylic, I've cut that down to a decent size for taping stuff to, or for what I want it to be used for. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the tape down on it. I got a package of 5 sheets. What this is usually used for, from my understanding, is you put this on to things that you've created stencils of or some such, and you use that to glue down or stick down like glitter and other really nice pretty things on, like scrapbooking, I guess. You will sprinkle glitter on it and it'll look nice. Me, I'm just going to use it as tape and hope that it works. If it doesn't, well, uh-oh. If I can even get it apart. Okay, so I'm going to take this like so. Put this on here. This is kind of a trial and error thing. I've never done this before, so bear with me. If it doesn't work out, you guys will see it, and that'll be how it is. Okay, now I'm going to take and cut off a piece that fits right here. Going to take my carpenter's pencil, which, get a carpenter's pencil if you don't have them, they're like 30 cents. So get that. Cheap T-square, or not T-square, a triangle square from Harbor Freight, like $1.99. So you don't need to get this. It's not super important. You can do it with a ruler. That's fine. But I happen to have some of these on hand because they're handy and I use them. So straighten that out. Make a crooked line because I didn't set it up properly, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this off. Okay, got this on there, nice and neat, pretty. I'm going to take this right here, take my cutting blade, wherever I put that, I lost it because that's what I do. Take my cutting blade, you can use a hobby knife, anything like that. I'm going to trim off the excess here, because I don't need it. Alright, cut the excess off with the hobby knife. Now you come back here and you take this other film off. It's pretty simple. It's more film on the then you take your outline here and you're going to stick it down so it's all on acrylic. Okay, now you got your stencil. You got your stencil or your sign here, and you can then take your sign and go over here to the scroll saw, put on safety goggles and a mask, which I will do now, Move all your stuff, then you'll start sawing this out. I was originally concerned with whether or not this scroll saw would get too hot. That's why I got the coping saw blades, because I wasn't sure if the scroll saw would get too hot or not. But I did do a test on it to make sure that this would not get too warm, and it seemed to work just fine. However, it does put off a slight fume while you're there, so that's why I wear a mask. Puts off some dust. I'm sure that acrylic dust is probably not good for you. Also, you don't want to get it in your eyes. Okay, I'm going to call myself a liar here, because I am not using a mask or eye protection, because my eye protection is fogging up because it's warm out here, and my mask is not allowing me to blow this red off so I can see the stuff. I still encourage a mask. Do as I say, not as I do. Now, I'm going to pause past you here and come back when I'm sawing these holes, or actually I'm just going to come out and show you how to saw these holes quick so you don't have to see this all. It's pretty simple. I'm in your way. Okay. It's pretty simple. You take your drill your hole, which I will do so you can see. Okay, got your drill done. Now you loosen the back, loosens up the blade, take the blade out, put the blade through your hole, put this in, line up everything neat and tight, and you resume sawing. I'm going to skip this slow part of me sawing and get back to putting stuff together. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, I got the D cut out and have the saw in there ready to go. I'm going to saw out this. Now you got to remember when you're doing these angle cuts in here, take your time. You're going to clean up a lot of stuff with sandpaper, but if you feel kind of shaky with the saw, try and stay a little bit away from it. I'm using this belt sander over here to do a little bit of cleanup, but you got to be really careful with that too because it goes fast. Otherwise, you can do any of your cleanup with sandpaper and a little elbow grease, and it's good to go. I'm going to cut out this part of the D, then I'm going to go back and cut out the rest of this stuff. Of course, it's going to be a lot more tricky, a lot more finicky, but when you get into these cuts into here, be very careful, go very slowly, go in, come back, maybe take a big cut out here and come back in, but just be very, very careful. When you get to the eye, you'll do that the same way I did this, only you'll use a smaller drill bit to drill into the eye. Got to make sure that it's big enough for the saw blade to go through, but should have enough space. There's a couple really small details. That little detail there, that one's going to be a tricky one. It's not going to be difficult to cut out. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to actually stick to the sign, but we'll make it work. Anyway, that little detail right there, I'm not sure if you saw that. Anyway, I'm going to show you cutting out this inside. I'm going to go a little slow, and then I'll come back when I have it all cut out, and we'll start figuring out how to place it on the board. Right. There you go, your front D. I'm going to clean up the inside edges here. You can see, I think, where it's kind of messed up a little bit from cutting around there. I'm going to clean that up with microfile that I use for miniatures. I'm going to use the circular one. Right here, left mine out, got a little bit rusty, but they're cheap, so I can get another one. I'm going to clean that up, sand it off, make sure everything else is nice. And then this thing is going to be ready to get ready to glue on. I'll be back as soon as I get done sawing the rest.